people to have their own biodata not updated, because that's something that can be ignored, and you find on the record it is not catered for. They were talking about 10 members or something. I think as a matter of urgency, it has to be worked on for their morale, their good morale and good work. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Bukenya?
Thank you, Right
If you
Honourable
don't
Speaker.
speak on this one, you'll speak on the next report. They are related.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for having the sharp eye to see me in this corner. I'd like to first thank the Chair for presenting a very good report and the team that assisted him. First, Honourable Speaker, I want to talk about 2 issues. One, when we are starting the discussion, the Honourable said that these reports are not followed up. I like to disagree. I was chair of a committee in the last 5 years, and the Honourable Bahati was the Minister of
Honorable
Planning.
Lee is addressing you.
And the Honourable Bahati was the Minister of Planning. So whenever I would make 20 recommendations, we would pick at least 5 in the next financial year without us going to him to ask. So he would add them on. So I'm sure if the ministers that are there like him, something is being done. Secondly, the most crucial issue which the Honourable Segona raised in the report is about the servers. I think the issues the Honourable from Gomba raised, digital transformation is crucial in this, and I think the Service Commission should be facilitated, and on the bigger strategic view, the Minister of ICT should also be facilitated to implement the digital transformation roadmap, because it integrates all the ministries, and this will help us solve most of the problems that we have in the public service. It would even help us to tackle the issue of understaffing, because some of the work that may not be filled that they consider redundant, the space can be covered by the IT system and in digital transformation. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Propos.
I still remain Propua. You at one time you were with us. The people who speak on behalf of the poor people, you abandoned us, so we are still there carrying the banner. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for this opportunity. I want to thank my learned friend, Senior, for the good report. I only want to amplify an important point which he made, and we may not unpack it and appreciate it. When he said he is empowering government to increase the retainer fees of the District Service Commission members through the Public Service Commission, is using a legal term just in ordinary language, is saying that we should increase their pay. For me, I find this very, very critical, because it was provided that the chairman of the District Service Commission shall be paid a salary of 1 million. And that's what is being carried. I would pray that they revise this figure upwards, because if we have a chairman who is on a good retainer, he will be forced to work hard to make sure that he keeps his image well, because he's being facilitated well, and will not pick handouts from the applicants. Even the members, instead of only providing for the chairperson, the Public Service Commission should consider that all members of the District Service Commissions should be given a retainer fee that is sizable. Maybe I would propose that they can move from 1 million of the chairperson to 6, then the members to 3, And we carry on like that because it is a very, very big problem on the ground.
Honorable Member, what is happening? It is government only pays for the chair, of Public Service Commission, and then the commissioners, the members, are paid as low as. I don't sitting allowance. I don't want to mention the amount. It's not good to mention it. It is ugly. So, as an institution of parliament, we really need to advocate and follow what the report is saying. Let's have a retainer fee given to these members. A retainer fee that is good enough that will not make them go and solicit. You'll speak in the next one. Yes.
Madam Speaker, in addition to all concerns that have been raised here, in public services or public commissions, Public Service Commission, and also Health Service Commission, and any other commission dealing with the recruitments and promotions, it has been observed that there are so many Ugandans suffering and they are not promoted. And the President's attention has even actually been drawn to some of the cases in Foreign Affairs. In the Health Service Commission, we have cases where people have served for over 20 years, they are not promoted. In Foreign Affairs, people have served for 15 years, they are not promoted. So why should we exploit Ugandans like that? And yet we have an able minister who seems to be paying attention to concerns of Uganda, but these issues are persisting. So we need to be assured. Is the minister aware about these irregularities, or he has enjoined those people who are just violating rights of Ugandans? And how will the PAC pick these issues and hold the minister to account? I needed this to be reconciled properly so that there is clarity. Already the President has intervened that this is not a matter which should have thrived under the NRM government. And it's an indictment on people who are delegated by the President and this House if no action is taken. I thank you.
Minister.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Love. Tusime, you'll speak on the next one.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Senior member, it's a brief one. Madam Speaker, I also want to thank the chair of the committee and the members for the report. But still on public and this service commission, you see, the observation here is that the committee observed 60 out of 146 required 42 of this service commission district, meaning there's no work going on. And always, other committees are going to report staffing gaps in a number of government entities, including districts. Once this commission is not fully constituted, it cannot work. It's the duty of public service, Madam Speaker, and Honorable Mukasa, senior member, to carry out supervision over these people. Madam Speaker, let me tell you one interesting scenario. When you go to our districts, you will find that a teacher who wants to be appointed in a government school can spend 6 million to get a job. True. And this teacher is going to earn 400,000 per month. So by the time he gets the job, we have spent 1 year ahead of him without any payment. It's you, public service, through Madam Speaker, to bring all these suggestions to your relevant committee. How do you appoint these people? How do you remunerate them? When they talk about poor remuneration, as Honorable Barnabas has stated, the weakness is on you as public service. You are sleeping on job. And at the end of the day, it impacts on our citizens. So I would pray. But this is very simple. If you want to change the legislation, bring it to Parliament. If you want to improve the remuneration, bring it to Parliament. And lastly, Madam Speaker, let us not talk about 1 million that chair is getting for every district. It depends on the income of the district. If a district like Karungu, which has a low income, local revenue, it will not be able to achieve properly this money, to give even allowances to the members to come and attend. And all those should be responded to by the relevant minister, who is not very common here, but today is there. Yes, he's there, and I want to thank him. Yes, I can, if the speaker allows.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. I would like first to thank the law, but I needed to seek clarification on whether we are discussing the matters of the District Service Commission or Public Service Commission. So if it is Public Service Commission, I really wanted, with due respect to my brother Delop, to address the matter as per what is on the order paper. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I want to thank Honorable Gwang. I know you came in late, and indeed this time we are handling Kosase report, but basing on the report I talked about District Service Commission, and some observations you have stated, and it's under him. When it comes to education, we shall meet in our area there. I know how we shall handle the bill as we talk always, but let us handle this one. Madam Speaker, I beg to.
Thank you so much. Minister.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, with due respect to my colleague and fellow teacher, Honourable Seungu, I would like to say that indeed the Public Service Commission is doing everything possible and what it can, given the various limitations, to supervise and guide their district service commissions. Issues of induction and so on, yes, have been raised. Yes, they try, given the limitations they have of funding, and they have done it. And they have given guidance from time to time of the various district service commissions. The Public Service Commission has also worked very hard, to move expeditiously whenever issues arise. And ideally, really, there should be no gap. If there's a problem in a particular district service commission, the law allows that particular district to borrow the services of the neighboring district, so that work is not stifled and it continues. And this has happened in some instances, so that at least recruitment and the employment of staff does not falter or is not halted. Right Honourable Speaker, we at the moment actually seized of all these issues which have been raised, including corruption, including all the job sales and what have you. And the Public Service Commission has been directed really to carry out a study and find out and come up with relevant and concrete proposals as to how some of these shortcomings can be eliminated altogether. And it's doing its job. And very soon, a report is going to be presented.
Honourable Minister, I'm not sure if you need that report, because it's provided for under the Constitution, Article 198. It says the District Service Commission shall consist of chairperson and such other members as the District Council shall determine, at least one of and all who are appointed by the District Council on recommendation of the District Executive Committee. Now, on the recommendation of the District Committee, he who appoints disappoints. So this can be handled under this without getting because it has to be approved by the public.
Yes, and the Public Service Commission has been doing exactly that. But, Right Honourable Speaker, while it's trying to do that, issues arise.
Member, thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker and Senior Member. What we are requesting, the LOP raised a very critical issue. Of where you are sleeping on the job. The law provides that there shall be 5 members of the District Service Commission. You find when they have just 3 members. The law provides that the quorum shall be 3. You should only appoint 3. You can only quote that provision of the law when there is 5 members and the other 2 are absent. They should be there, and in a very short distance or a call, even a call away, they can report to the commission. But as long as they are not there, that means the District Service Commission is not duly constituted. And this is where you are sleeping on job. My district, Kagadi district, has just 4. There was a reverend who resigned because he could not cope up with the corruption scandals that were going on. You are aware. He attended in his resignation. And the commission continues to function. The quorum is 3. No. The constitutional ruling of Sam Kutesa provided that the body which is not duly constituted, you cannot function as this is where we are taking you on, and we want you to provide this house with information that you are not sleeping. Like the district she was talking of, Mukono, still had the same problem. If you go to Chankwanzi, they have
Honorable, that is understood. What we need now to do is that the Judicial Service Commission should make a follow-up with the District Service Commission, since they are the ones who supervise public service. Yes, Honorable Local.
Thank you. Number 1, Right Honourable Speaker, there are instances where district local governments make submission for names that could have been approved by the council but requires the final approval of the Service Commission. Unfortunately, there are instances where Public Service Commission takes too long to respond to districts. We had suggested that the Ministry of Public Service, together with Public Service Commission, needed to have a clear time frame within which they respond to submissions. We also suggested, Right Honourable Speaker, that, for example, there are districts, actually across the country, there are only 25 substantially appointed district people who are acting, and most of them have acted for more than 5 years. We had also suggested that the Ministry of Public Service, together with Public Service Commission, needs to look at a framework where they can deal with some of the challenges that are preventing the local governments from attracting and recruiting such positions. Finally, Right Honourable Speaker, there are also instances where local governments have a lot of issues to be handled. For example, irregularities in the recruitment processes, where complaints come and Public Service Commission needs to deal with such complaints. Unfortunately, they take too long, and the law requires that they have to act within a certain period, and if they don't, then it renders all the complaints redundant. The Honourable Minister needs to clarify on some of those, what exactly they are trying to do to address those. Otherwise, it's a big problem at local government level, and we also need to deal with, Madam Speaker, The question of chairpersons of service commission getting 1 million shilling, while the rest of the members have to be at the mercy of locally generated revenue. The 1 million is from the consolidated, but the other members get allowances from local revenue. We had suggested that we need to standardize so all can be charged on the consolidated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. As I was saying, these issues have cropped up, and the Public Service Commission and the Ministry of Public Service and local government are aware. And the Cabinet actually directed that Ministry of Public Service and local government plus the Attorney General should look into these issues and provide concrete recommendations which will help in a way to remove all these issues and outcries. Some of issues include corruption and what have you, and some of the delays and the political interference, especially in the constitution of the district service commissions and their performance. So I was saying, yes, we have gone ahead and we have more or less done our work, and we are soon going to present a cabinet paper on all these issues with practical recommendations. And once it's adopted, then action is going to be taken. It is not a question of sleeping.
How long? When you say soon.
How
soon.
long? How long?
Because we are going into a budgeting process.
Yeah.
We are going into a budgeting process, and we are saying, let's get a way of increasing pay. Let's get a way of having a retainer for these people.
That is quite in order. It's quite in order, yes. Oh yes, we have also found it. It's in order. Let these people be paid, not just retainers. In fact, we are proposing not just a retainer. Let them be paid a salary. Because the revenues of the districts vary, we are saying let the salary come from the consolidated fund. But, well, I'm just mentioning the recommendations which this study has done and which are going to be presented to Cabinet. Yes, but the essence of it is that, yes, we are privy of some of these shortcomings and the gaps, and we are ready to ensure that these gaps are plugged so that we have a vibrant and quite operational district service commissions. The issue of digitalization, yes, it has started. It's not right up to the level that we want it, but at least suffice it to say that the journey has begun and it will not end until its final destination. So, Right Honorable Speaker, that with those few examples show that we are not sleeping and that we are quite awake, and we shall actually and we shall deliver these service commissions to the level that we want them, that Parliament is dictating, and in fact that the public wants them to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you, honorable members, and we really want to urge the public service to take these recommendations very seriously and have them implemented. You cannot have somebody who is employing you getting an allowance, a sitting allowance of 30,000, and yet you're going to get 40 million. What do you expect of such a person? Temptations are there. I now put a question that the report of the Public Accounts Committee on Commissions, Statutory Authorities, and State Enterprises on the report of Auditor General on financial statements of Public Service Commission for the financial year ended 30th June 2023 be adopted by this House. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. Thank the ayes have it. Could we have a treasury memorandum as per section 53 of the Public Finance Management Act. Thank you. Next.
Item 6, motion for adoption of the report of the Public Accounts Committee, Commissions, Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises on the financial statements of Uganda Investment Authority for the financial year ended 30th June 2023.
Chair.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. The committee did come up with a report, and as guided earlier, we are still compliant, Right Honourable Speaker. We make observations at page 2 and recommendation at page 3 of the report with respect to the observation that the accounting officer should disclose and transfer the outstanding Uganda shillings 0.23 billion to the consolidated fund, and that the accounting officer should be held responsible for failure to disclose the NTR budgeted figures in the financial statements. 2, with respect to performance of government warrants, we observe and recommend at page 5 of the report that the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development should ensure that approved budget is fully honored, and that the unimplemented activities should always be rolled over to the subsequent financial year. On utilization of warrants, Right Honourable Speaker, we make an analysis and observe at page 6 and recommend that the authority should improve the planning and execution of planned activities, including but not limited to training and skilling, to avoid scenarios of lack of persons with suitable qualifications and skills that may be tailored to the interests, desires, and the unique aspirations of the entity. We also recommend that the accounting officer should ensure that funds are availed are absorbed fully. On unsupported output budgets and unimplemented outputs, Right Honourable Speaker, we observe and recommend at page 7 that the accounting officer should prioritize activities and implement them in the order of priority, and 2, that the accounting officer should ensure that necessary revisions in the budget and work plan are effected and approved as guided by the PFMA 2015. On mischarge of expenditure of Uganda shillings 55 million, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members, we observe at page 8 and recommend that the accounting officer should apply the funds to the activities planned for, and in case of reallocation of funds, seek approval from the relevant minister in accordance with section 22(1) of the PFMA. On delivery of services from implemented activities, Right Honourable Speaker, we make an analysis at pages 8 through to 10, and observe at page 10 and recommend that the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development should ensure that all funds for the approved activities are released in a timely manner to facilitate the effective and efficient execution of government projects and programs. Management of the salary payroll, validation of the employees on the entity's main payroll. We observe at page 11 and also recommend that at page 12, management should periodically update employee list and reconcile the payroll. Number 2, the accounting officer should liaise with the relevant stakeholders to ensure that timely access and deletion of affected employees on and from the payroll. On utilization of the wage budget, Right Honourable Speaker, we observe at page 12 and recommend that the committee recommends that, being minimal and well explained, the query be dropped. Review of the entity's staff establishment, observation at page 13 and recommendation on the same page that the accounting officer should ensure that all vacant positions are filled by the the following accounting period. 2, that the authorities should implement measures to improve employee retention through training and scaling to avoid human resource gaps. On change of accounting treatment for non-current assets, Right Honorable Speaker, we make observations at page 13 and our recommendation at page 14. 1, that the Accountant General undertakes sufficient training to accounting officers on the new accounting systems and any subsequent changes. 2, that going forward, the authorities should commence implementation of the policy. 3, that the entity should ensure government assets are revalued and stated in the financial statements at their correct values, and which should be depreciated over their useful life in accordance with the accounting systems. Speaker, I'm happy that the people of Busiro twined us, and I am being assisted by the honorable. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, on receivables of 21.42 billion, we make observations at page 15 and recommend that the accounting officer should ensure that strict measures are instituted to collect all outstanding receivables without any excuse. On outstanding payables of 1.90 billion, we make observations and recommend at page 16 that the Ministry of Finance should ensure that outstanding payables to enable their full settlement. On delayed revaluation of the authorities' land measuring 270,877 acres, we observe at page 17 and recommend that the Ministry of Finance provides the requisite funding to the authority to carry out land titling and regular revaluation of its land to ensure accurate financial reporting and maximize the land's potential for increased revenue generation. It's an issue that Parliament has pronounced itself on in a couple of seconds or microseconds ago. On development of infrastructure, design and build at Kampala Industrial and Business Park, Namamve, KIBIP, Right Honorable Speaker, we observe at page 18 that there are delays in implementation of the project, and on the observations we make the recommendations at page 19 that the accounting officer should expedite the completion of the project to avoid unnecessary cost overruns. 2, that the authorities should improve on project planning, management and oversight to ensure timely implementation in order to achieve the intended objectives of the program. Number 3, that the government projects should enhance environmental protection and preservation by avoiding wetlands except in the clearest of cases based on absolute necessity. On cumulative achievement of project activities, Right Honorable Speaker and members, the committee makes observations at page 20 and recommendations thereon that accounting officers should ensure that before starting projects, proper coordination between stakeholders like NEMA, UMEME, National Water and Sewage Corporation, NITA-U, etc., is undertaken to harmonize the designs and avoid challenges of rejection of some sites that cause delays in project completion and service delivery to the beneficiaries. An absorption of funds under the KIBIP Namamve project. Right Honorable Speaker and members, we observe at page 21 and recommend as follows. One, that the accounting officer should institute robust monitoring and evaluation of the new interventions meant to ensure that the project activities are completed at the right time with quality and a minimal cost to realize its intended project objectives. The authority should improve its financial planning and management, streamline bureaucratic processes, and ensure timely and effective implementation of the funded projects. Right Honorable Speaker, on delivery of services from implemented activities, we make an analysis from pages 21 to 22 and also observations at page 22 with the attendant recommendation that this being a minimal, well-explained query, we recommend that it be dropped. On the status of Uganda Investment Authority land utilization, we observe, Right Honorable Speaker, we make an analysis, pages 22, page 23 to 24, and observe at page 24 with the recommendation that Uganda Investment Authority should develop and implement inclusive land use plans that consider needs and potential of each region to ensure balanced development and promote sustainable use of available land. Two, that the authority should allocate resources, including funding, technical assistance, and infrastructure development fairly across the districts to ensure all regions have an opportunity to develop. Number three, that the board and management of Uganda Investment Authority should explore mechanisms of expeditious land dispute resolution. I notice that the board has since expired and we are waiting for the appointment of a new board. On the status of implementation of presidential directives on industrial parks, Right Honorable Speaker, we make an analysis at pages 25, 26 to 27 and make observations with attendant recommendation as follows. That Uganda Investment Authority should seek renewal of the expired directive of the President. The board and management of Investment Authority should complete the establishment of the 8 industrial parks as envisaged in their work plan. Payment of URA administrative, should be UIA, pardon me, administrative and additional, URA administrative and additional assessment of 460 million. We observe and recommend that the accounting officer should ensure adherence to the commitment control system to avoid accumulation of arrears in lieu of statutory deductions. Two, that the accounting officer should ensure that there are budget provisions towards settlement of all domestic arrears. On unimplemented procurements, we observe and recommend that the authority should ensure effective procurement planning and robust management systems to mitigate the problem of non-implementation. And two, the authority should have program timelines and work within those timelines. On expiry of appropriations, Right Honorable Speaker, we analyze and observe at page 30 and also recommend that the accounting officer should always comply with the law by seeking relevant authority if there is justification. Otherwise, return the funds to the consolidated fund. With that, Right Honorable Speaker, we conclude by stating that Uganda Investment Authority plays a crucial role in enhancing investment in Uganda, which drives national economic growth and development in partnership with the private sector. It is therefore recommended that Parliament be pleased to adopt this report, as I now beg to move. I thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Mrs. Okia, Dorcas.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Is it time?
Yes, please, please.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I would like to thank the committee for the report. Uganda Investment Authority is an entity that is supposed to help us attract investors into the country. And usually it does that by the incentives that the government provides, and also some assurances of some infrastructure which will help some of these investors with their products to reach the markets. Now, 86 billion was the approved budget, but only 46 billion was released. And this caused some of the plans, like roads that were meant to lead to some of these industrial parks, not to be constructed. Now, if the investors are given assurances that, you know, the roads will be there, the power is going to be there, and they come and they set up their factories, they produce their goods, and they're not able to actually they're not actually able to make profits in the end, because government is acting as an investor by bringing these investors. For 10 years, you don't pay taxes, but after the 10 years, government is expecting to reap from these investors. Yesterday, in the report of URA, we saw that our tax revenue to GDP is very low for the region. But I see a situation where Uganda, after most of these investors have started making profit, Uganda will be one of the countries with a good tax revenue in the region. But if government does not invest in the infrastructure, in the facilities that are needed to promote these industrial parks and the industries, then we're going to have a very big issue. The second issue, I would like to agree with the committee on the issue that Uganda Investment Authority should be facilitated to invest and procure the 8 industrial parks, of which Madiokolo is one of them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We really wanted the Minister of Investment on this debate. It's a very important report. Honourable members, issues of investment. We have had a lot of issues on investment. Is it possible for us to start to have the minister in the house? Yes. I don't want a debate on this thing. I wanted the minister of we'll stand over this report and go to the next report. We want the minister. You want, okay, make it.
Madam,
don't waste your energy. There are issues that are with investment. All of us want the industrial parks. We want that can only be answered by the minister.
Madam Speaker, it's important to note that yes, we are debating queries by the Auditor General on the Investment Authority, and government will answer these queries, the resolutions adopted by Parliament through a Treasury memorandum. So this particular one is on queries. But I think it is also important that you direct us, the Minister of Investment, to come and update the House on other issues of industrial parks, of incentives and other matters. But this particular one is on queries raised by the Auditor General on the Investment Authority.
Yes.
Right, Honourable Speaker. Much as the Honourable Minister is saying that we would discuss this, Right Honourable Speaker, for quite some time, We have been reading a lot of things about Uganda Investment Authority. Even today, it's just flooding the social media, how the board has been fired, how this is. It's disturbing because the Uganda Investment Authority plays a very critical role. And so it would be good for us to have this discussion and also other issues to be clarified on when the Honorable Minister is here. So, Right Honorable Speaker, your guidance is spot on. Thank you very much.
Honourable members, if the board is fired, if the industrial park, the roads are not being worked on, if all the things that have been mentioned are not being done, can we have an assurance from the minister? Because it is the minister who is responsible for the board. So, Honorable Bahati, we are requesting you kindly tell the Minister of Investment to come.
Madam Speaker, we will inform the Minister for Investment to come tomorrow or any time that the report is on the order paper.
No, the report is still on the order paper. It will be the first item.
Tomorrow. Okay, she will be in the House.
And I hope she reads the report because we are not going to repeat. Yes.
I was one time, in this term, the Vice Chair of the Government Assurances Committee, and a lot of information from this report committee about industrial parks has a lot of questions, and we made a lot of work for the industrial parks. I would, with your indulgence, if at all the chair is here, the committee, as is known, if at all we could also get that report of the government assurances, because we had a full visit to these industrial parks, so that if this report as is given with accountability plus the implementation as per the promises of government, it would give us a very good debate. Otherwise, this report, without the minister, we are going to make some amendments and recommendations. We are very okay with the reports we have had, but I want the Honourable Minister to know that we are not really reading this report as it came today. We have it before, and we are well informed, and the Speaker, in her wisdom, has seen it even before us. So bear the directives, and please leave us so that we can get that man. This accounting officer shouldn't be in office by now for the Uganda Investment Authority. I can assure you.
Next item.
Item 7.
Jenna, you have something?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I don't want to dispute your ruling, but Madam Speaker, can the Minister tomorrow, as she comes, come with the national investment strategy for this country so that we can know how she has mapped the country and how she will guide us on the appropriate and volumes of investment that are needed for every region so that we can contribute and grow this economy, Madam Speaker.
Policy. She's supposed to take that to Committee of Finance. We are looking at accountability of the funds that have been given. That is supposed to go to the Committee of Finance. Those are policy matters. Next item.
Item 7. Motion for adoption of the report of the Public Accounts Committee, Commissions, Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises on the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the National Population Council for the year ended 30th June 2023.
Chair.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Honourable members, with respect to this report, in respect of the National Population Council for the year ended 30th June 2023, we make observations beginning at page 2 and recommendations at page 3. 1, that MDAs should always ensure proper planning, identify and address bottlenecks that delay the collection of non-tax revenue. 2, that MDAs should diversify their sources of NTR, reduce dependence on limited number of revenue streams. Number 2, with respect to performance of government warrants, we make an analysis at page 3 all through to page 4, observe and recommend that Ministry of Finance should ensure that full release of warrants for MDAs to operate efficiently, meet their obligations and deliver essential services to the public as planned and approved is made. With respect to utilization of warrants, the committee observes and recommends that the Ministry of Finance should always ensure adequate releases in accordance with the approved budgets for MDAs. On implementation of outputs, Right Honourable Speaker, we observe at page 5 and recommend that MDAs continuously engage relevant stakeholders to ensure adequate funding to address their needs. On delivery of services from implemented activities, we analyze, observe at page 6 and recommend that MDAs should always ensure that unimplemented activities are rolled over to the subsequent period so as to fully attain the intended strategic objectives. On management of government salary payroll, Right Honourable Speaker, we analyze at pages 6, 7, where we talk about validation of employees on the entity's main payroll, and observe at page 7, as well as recommend that MDAs should periodically update employee lists, reconcile the payroll, and liaise with other relevant stakeholders to ensure timely payroll access for new employees and deletion of those that have exited service. On inconsistencies of the employee details, we observe at page 8 and recommend that accounting officers should ensure that employee records are duly updated and brought to the attention of the appropriate authorities within 6 months from the date of adoption of this report. On review of entity staff establishment, Right Honourable Speaker, we observe and recommend at page 8 that accounting officers should follow up with the responsible stakeholders regarding the status of the entity so as to guide the fate of the council's staffing positions. On irregular extension of acting appointments, we analyze, observe and recommend at page 9 that MDAs should always provide documentation and any other relevant information for evidence to the auditors during audit or exam. We observe, Right Honourable Speaker, at page 10 and recommend 1, that MDAs should adhere to the IPPS to ensure compliance, transparency and efficiency. And 2, that MDAs should follow up the setup with the Public Service Ministry to avoid wastage through further payments relating to the separate systems procured by the entity. On irregular payment of gratuity, we analyze, observe and recommend at page 11 that the accounting officer who was in charge should account for the money regularly paid out in gratuity and NSSF to the permanent staff in government employment, and where it is found that excess money was paid, it should pay it back in accordance with the Article 164(2) of the Constitution. On irregular continuation in acting capacity beyond 12 months, we analyze, observe and recommend, Right Honourable Speaker, at page 12, that the accounting officer who was in charge be held personally liable for violation of the law. On establishment of the National Population Data Bank and failure to fully operationalize the National Population Data Bank, we observe and recommend 1, that considering that the National Population Data Bank was currently in place, fully operational, the query should be dropped. And 2, that government should expedite the process of popularizing the National Population Data Bank so as to avail useful data for planning to responsible stakeholders. In conclusion, the National Population Council plays a crucial role in ensuring that Uganda's population policies contribute to sustainable development to improve the overall well-being of the citizens. We therefore recommend and move that Parliament be pleased to adopt the report. I thank you, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Members.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Bodo.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable Chairman, for the wonderful report. Honourable colleagues, just wrapping up the National Population Data Bank. For me, I think there is still laxity in that field, because the role of the Population Data Bank is to store all the data of all Ugandans, but across all sectors, and reintegration, distribution, proper analysis after sorting, and giving it to the National Planning Authority in order to plan for our country. Now, the National Population Council, I highly doubt, it has the raw data, males living in Butabika, these ones. But to tell me that they have the data, the health data of people, without cross-reference digitization of other sectors, like how many people have land titles, how many people age, how many of them are in school, what education background, etc., to help us correlate, because their role is to gather the population statistics, then the quality, cross-reference the data, mine it well, and help the other government bodies use it for better planning. Right, Honourable Speaker?
It's supposed to be integrated with the with the Electoral Commission.
There you go.
With the NERA, with the hospitals.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. And it's my humble view that as we are moving towards election, the baseline of compilation and coming up with the national register, I know we'll be talking about it, but if we want to go digitize, and now we already have one of the sectors that gathers our data as the cross-reference of the population of Uganda, the entry data at NERA is still saying we are not so sure of which national IDs you should use in the transition, and we know we have to use some data to compile a voters register. So you can see that if not well supported as a population council with personnel, with the skills, you might find that we might not harness a lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I would also like to thank the Chair for your report. I have two issues. One is on these long-acting positions. Public service standing orders actually stipulate that someone should not act more than 6 months. But when I was reading on the report, people have acted for 18 months, for 12 years. If you act for more than 6 months, you are automatically supposed to qualify and occupy that seat in which you are acting in. Secondly, I have seen the same mistake, not inconsistency in employees' details. Since yesterday, all the reports, they actually indicate that employees' data has some mistakes. The names, the date of birth, and with the NIN numbers. I hope these employees didn't change their names. You know, when we are getting identity cards this NERA, some employees tried to change on the national identity card, which could not be corresponding with what the first forms they filled. I submit.
Sarah.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank the committee for their report. And just to state, Right Honorable Speaker, that this is...
But I hope you recall that we merged this. Okay.
Right Honorable Speaker, this is why I had previously challenged the decision of the presiding officer, the Deputy Speaker then, and you have also mentioned today that we adopt, if the committees are not ready with the reports, we adopt the Auditor General's report. You can see that the committee, in observing some of these Auditor General's reports and interfacing with the various accounting officers, there are certain queries, Right Honorable Speaker, that can actually be dropped. But if we adopt them en masse, then it is like you are, you know, hanging somebody or
you're saying
or
what?
crucifying. Okay, let me not use those words. The issue I'm talking about is that you earlier mentioned, and it was previously decided, and previously we have adopted Auditor General's reports here without scrutiny.
And the motion was brought on this floor by Honorable Nandala Mafavi, which motion carried the day, and that was, it is a precedence that we are
Right
following.
Honorable Speaker, I moved a motion to challenge that decision, and this was last year, November 2023. Because when Nandala Mafabi brought this motion, it was at the end of the term of the 10th Parliament, not in the middle. So my motion is still with you, Right Honorable Speaker, and if it pleases you, we would have it on the order paper and discuss. Because the reason why we need to scrutinize, and this is a constitutional matter, Right Honorable
Just
Speaker.
a minute, Sarah.
Yeah.
How many months does the Constitution give you to look at the Accountability Committee reports?
Right Honorable Speaker, it says 6 months, but it goes ahead to state that Parliament shall scrutinize. And that's a constitutional issue. Actually, Article 163 of the Constitution.
Parliament shall, within 6 months after the submission of the report referred to in clause 4 of this article, debate and consider the report and take appropriate action. Shall, and these are accountability reports. And you know, I know you did some little accounting. You know accounting cycle. By the time you go into the budgeting process, you should have closed the accounting cycle of this current year.
Right Honorable Speaker, it's difficult for me to argue, but how I wish my motion could find its way on the order paper, and then I would give more justification. But that aside, I want to thank the committee for the report, and I was just wondering, Right Honorable Speaker, how can an accounting officer pay staff who are still serving gratuity to a tune of 550 million shillings? And what is even funny, the same accounting officer goes ahead to pay staff who are permanent government employees gratuity too. How can this happen? 285 million paid as gratuity to existing staff of the council. This is really, I don't know what level of negligence, Right Honorable Speaker, can this be? I am a permanent staff, I am still serving, but I'm paid gratuity. And the committee notes that this was irregular and actually out of, because permanent staff don't receive gratuity, Right Honorable Speaker, when they are still serving. It comes at the end of their term. So I find this... No,
yes.
I'm reading the report.
I know you saw this even in the other report.
In your
but
air.
this one is more interesting.
But you are refunded.
It has the same. Here, you start with inconsistencies in employee details. They have different NIN numbers, don't match. Actually, in Uganda, as we talk now, whether you are national ID is expired, but the NIN remains the same. But you have, and there is validation. They call that validation every year. But here you are with inconsistencies in employees, but the employees who are inconsistent are also getting gratuity at the same time, plus NSSF at the same time.
And Right Honourable Speaker, thank you very much for the information. My issue actually is with the recommendation of the committee, Right Honourable Speaker. The committee, the accounting officer was in charge and should account for the money irregularly paid out in gratuity and NSSF to the permanent staff in government employment where it is found that excess money was paid. He should pay it back. Right Honourable Speaker. Why just, without any warning to this accounting officer, should we simply say pay back? Right Honourable Speaker, I'm not comfortable with the recommendation of the committee. Because simply saying that this person should account and pay back is not adequate. Secondly, Right Honourable Speaker.
What would you suggest to be the most appropriate recommendation?
I had indicated. Yes, this accounting officer. Mission. Because there is a process before somebody is paid. Papers are checked, there are auditors, there are people who verify these papers before payment is actually made. And then finally the payment is made. So how could this really happen? And then we are only saying the accounting officer, the person who, the accounting officer who made the payment should account for the money and pay back. I think that is being too lenient. Yet other officers will have written, Right Honourable Speaker, you will respond as the chairman. I have been with you as chairperson PAC. You were chair PAC. And we used to say that these people should be held accountable. So what happened to that sentence? Why are you changing the language now in Kosasi? Secondly, Right Honourable Speaker. Secondly, Right Honourable Speaker. On the National Population Data Bank, which is currently in place, and no, I had already talked about this, where the committee recommended that this should be dropped. So, Right Honourable Speaker, I think the last issue is the challenge of people who are acting in positions for a long time, Right Honourable Speaker. And when you look at most of the reports, it is actually worse in the district local governments, where you find people acting for over 2, 3, 4, 5 years. They are still in acting capacity. And yet the law is very clear. The public service standing orders provide for only one to act for 6 months. But you find somebody acting beyond that. And I think I'm glad the Minister of Public Service is here. We must really stop this and being unfair, trying to protect positions for some people to qualify and employ. Let me take the information from the Shadow Minister for Local Government.
Thank you so much for giving way, colleague. Honorable Pendi, I just wanted to inform you about matters of local governments. We have districts. When we went to the Western region, they have advertised several times, especially for district engineers, district health officers. They are unable to attract any person to take on those posts. So at times, they have advertised, the local governments have advertised, but there are no one is interested as far as that money is concerned.
I think what we are handling now is the National Population Council, where the committee raised the issue of people acting in one position for a long time. So your information, while it may be valid, may not be relevant for this particular purpose. Thank you very much. Right Honourable Speaker,
Thank
the
you.
woman MP, Juman Arua, wanted to give further information, and I will stop there. Thank you. No,
Geoffrey.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the issue of paying gratuity to people who are still earning salary is not only in this particular issue being raised. When you also look at the audit queries of local governments, the same issue is also coming up. You find many people who are still on the salary payroll are paid gratuity. And some of these challenges, when we leave them like this, we may not unearth a number of issues. Sometime back, there was a case of connivance where monies are transferred into accounts of some districts excess, and these monies are returned, but not into the consolidated account. Now, this same case of paying a lot of money as a gratuity, for me, I would think that we should subject it to investigation, because there could be a case of connivance where you may find that the people who have received these monies might be paying the money back to those who pay them. So for me, as an individual, my recommendation and suggestion that we should amend as a recommendation is that apart from holding this accounting officer accountable, that he should repay the money, this matter should be subjected to investigation. That's my recommendation. Further investigation.
Thank you. Rose.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
DP.
Right Honorable Speaker, we who come from refugee hosting districts, there's a big discrepancy with the data we have in the population data. The management has totally failed. They give wrong reports. I think they don't use people who really qualify to collect the data. They just go and assume that in this population, this could be the number. And now we share health centers, we share schools. Now UPE fund that is given so little. Even medicine that is supplied to the health centers is so low. I think something major should be done with the Population Council. They should take their work serious.
Let's first hear from the minister.
Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, once again to thank the chairperson and the members of the committee for a very good report. There are two issues I wanted to respond to. The National Population Council, to begin with, has been now merged with the National Planning Authority. So issues of the data bank will be handled in the new establishment of the National Planning Authority. But I do take, no, it has ended 30th actually last a few days ago. So, but I also take note of what Honorable Nsereko has raised. I hope that in the new structure, we'll be able to take this issue of the data bank very seriously. Pension and gratuity. A distinction should be made that you get pension when you're on permanent basis. You get in government, you get it at the end of your term. But for gratuity is basically for those who are on contract. So a contract, you calculate it at the end of the financial year, at the end of the year, then you get the gratuity. So it is in order that members of the staff of the National Population Council were getting gratuity because they were on contract. They were on contract. And to mention that, Madam Speaker, I don't know whether this is the right time, now that we are talking about the population, if I can make a comment on my own population that I represent in this House. Madam Speaker, I just want to thank members for sending the messages of sympathy upon the news of hailstorms that happened in my constituency, where one person, the people died at Kaibirago Primary School. It destroyed plants and people's property in Guanyena, Butanda, and Kamgangs. Just to assure the people represented in this House that government were doing all it can to reach out to them and support them. I thought that now that we are talking about the issues of population, I could mention that. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you. Now we've heard the representative, Honorable Bahat, and we really stand with you and your people. Right Honorable Speaker, you've always spoken about the digital agenda of this country and e-governance. Probably as leaders, we need to push ourselves in the room, including our friends from the Planning Authority, to see to it that we do what we call the e-governance plan. In so doing, we would get real-time data. For example, I saw the Ministry of Education trying to embark on it, that in real time you would know which child has entered class, which child has absconded, which child has dropped out. From the health sector, which child or which person has been admitted, which person has been treated, and which individual has been given a particular prescription of which drugs, which doctor has checked in, which nurse has not checked in, etc. And the use of the e-governance system in appraisals by the Ministry of Public Service, so that it can give us a real-time, planning and solutions that can help you to plan for our own population. Therefore, I look forward to you as government, like you've said, coming up with that plan of integration of all government services on the e-system of governance, digitization, so that I think our friend from, is the Honorable from where? Busiro has just come in, but we'll give him the benefit of doubt. What we are talking about is e-government probably doesn't understand what I'm particularly talking about. But Right Honorable Speaker, with due respect, the minister in charge of planning needs to tell us how far government has gone with the integration of the system of e-governance and total digitization for real-time results and governance. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members. I now put a question. And the report of Public Accounts Committee. Yes.
1 minute. I think it's, first of all, I want to thank colleagues for their contributions. And of course, express solidarity with the people of Ndorwa West, on the hailstorms. I want to trust that his government is able to respond in real time. Just to respond to only one of the issue raised by the Honorable Sarah Penny.
Honorable Minister, our sympathies to your people, and we are with them.
Yeah, Right Honorable Speaker. The issue raised by the Honorable Sarah Pendy, who asked whether I have since become softer since I left Park Central. No. One, we observe, first of all, that the accounting officer is no longer in office. Has since, Right Honorable Speaker, this particular accounting officer has since left office, even before the merger of this entity with another. The worst and harshest penalty that the committee could recommend is a refund. In our assessment, a refund of money is harsher than saying be held personally accountable, because it's only a statement, but this one is action. Bring back the money. Why we did not want to go into the realm of recommending a criminal prosecution is, if you read the report of the Auditor General and this particular report, there is what may be seen to be a dichotomy where somebody would hide. The council has a human resource manual which makes provision for these payments. But our observation was that this human resource manual is inconsistent with the public service standing orders, which in our opinion would hold which in our opinion would take precedence over the human resource manual. So that's why we did not go the extra lengths of recommending criminal prosecution, but recommend a refund of the monies paid. That's all. That's it, and I thank
Why
you.
didn't you consider Article 164(2)?
To the effect, your right honorable speaker, we did. In our recommendation, we said refund in accordance, pay it back in accordance with Article 164(2) of the Constitution.
Okay,
I
thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, I now put a question that the report of the Public Accounts Committee on commissions, statutory authorities, state enterprises, on the report of Auditor General on financial statements of the National Population Council for the year ended 30th June 2023 be adopted by this House. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Next.
Item 8.
With your permission, Right Honorable Speaker, may I thank you very much
Thank you.
for giving us this kind of time, but also to thank my members and staff for the industrious work that was exhibited. I'm grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. So you have one report that will come up tomorrow on Investment Authority. Yes, next item. Eh?
I still have more, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we have passed the report, but recall that previously, while handling similar reports of the Auditor General, you actually guided the committees to stop simply talking about accounting officers. For example, this accounting officer retired, but his name is not mentioned. So if you simply say the accounting officer who was in charge, who was he? Why don't we put the names there? So this is is it not procedure right that moving forward, I'm saying moving forward, is it not procedure right that moving forward, where the Public Accounts Committees bring reports, they should mention the names of these accounting officers so that we can be able to differentiate?
Thank you. Next.
Item 8. Bill second reading. The Uganda National Kiswahili Council Bill 2023.
Honorable Minister, can you move a motion?
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move a motion that the bill entitled the Uganda National Kiswahili Council Bill 2023 be read for the second time. I beg to move.
Seconded? Seconded by Honorable Muma, Ojara, Sailo, Ayeko, Masaka, Mukono, Kimanya, by the whole House, including Honorable Bahati. Would you love to speak to your motion?
Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, from today, chairs of committees should always be in the House. Actually, should be the last people to leave the House. You want leadership? An example should be you people.
Right Honorable Speaker, under Article 6, Section 2 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, Kiswahili is the second official language of Uganda to be used in such circumstances as Parliament may by law prescribe. Right Honorable Speaker, Uganda is a member state of the East African Community.
and under Article 16 of the East African Treaty binds partner states to demonstrate the provisions of
Honorable
the
Kwang.
treaty and implement them. Right Honorable Speaker, Uganda is a signatory on the protocol that established the East African Kiswahili Council in 2008. The East African Kiswahili Commission started its work way back in 2008 and was commissioned in 2015. And for about 20 years, Uganda does not have membership on that Kiswahili Commission. Kiswahili is an indigenous language known for being an African indigenous language spoken by over 2 million people in Africa, specifically East Africa, the SADC, and some other Arab countries. It is known to have been born in the East African community, and there is always a saying that is born in Tanzania, raised in Kenya, died in Uganda, and resurrected in Congo. Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to clean this record. Where it died from. Right, Honorable Speaker, I would wish to clean this record. Kiswahili Commission in Uganda will support the unity that none of our indigenous languages has been able to rise for the whole of Uganda. Uganda has diverse cultures, diverse languages, and Kiswahili stands in handy to unite us because of its neutrality. Right, Honorable Speaker, at the East African community level, the partner states concluded the protocol on the establishment of the Kiswahili Council and Commission, and the main objective of the Commission is to promote the usage of Kiswahili within the East African community. The Commission works through the National Kiswahili Council, like the Uganda National Kiswahili Council, to be established under this bill. Therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, the bill seeks to operationalize Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, the Protocol on the establishment of the East African Kiswahili Commission, and the bill will establish the National Kiswahili Council as a government agency that will promote the use of Kiswahili in Uganda. The Council will coordinate and promote the use of Kiswahili in the administrative, judicial, legislative processes as a medium of communication by the local government and the public at all levels of society, and as a medium of instruction in the educational institution in Uganda. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you so much. We now call the chair. Solo, are you okay? Yes, Chair.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm here to present the report. The report of the Committee of Gender, Labour and Social Development on the Uganda National Kiswahili Council Bill 2023. I beg to lay on paper, on table, the following documents. I beg to lay the minutes of the committee as we processed the bill. I beg to lay on table the copy of the protocol of the establishment of the East African Kiswahili Commission. I beg to lay a waiver under the Cabinet Minute Extract 437 CT 2022. I beg to lay the Treaty of the Establishment of the East African Community. I beg to lay the report of the committee. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
The Minister has already clarified on why they are establishing a council. I will not go to the background of the bill. I will not go to the methodology. I will go direct to the general observations. Right Honorable Speaker, operationalization of Article 6.2 of 1995 of the Constitution. The committee noted with concern that whereas under the memorandum of the bill, it is stated that the justification of the bill is to operationalize Article 6.2 of the Constitution. The bill is silent and does not make any provisions hinged on Article 6.2 of the Constitution. The bill does not mention circumstances where Kiswahili will be used as the second official language in Uganda in any way it is in its current state, as Parliament is required to do under Article 6.2, and yet this is the basis of the bill. The committee accordingly recommends that the objects of the bill and the long title should be amended to include the operationalization of Article 6.2, and further that the bill is amended to provide for the circumstances of the usage of Kiswahili as the second language. On 5.2, policy on rationalization of public expenditure. The committee observed that the creation of the council is contrary with the rationalization policy of government adopted under Cabinet Minute 2 of 02 of 22 bracket RAPEX, which is aimed at streamlining and reducing the number of government agencies and departments, MDA, and has since resulted into ongoing institutional reforms. In regard, the committee was informed that Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development was given a waiver under Cabinet Memorandum under Extract Minute 437 CT 2022 to create the Uganda National Kiswahili Council. Furthermore, Uganda being a signatory to protocol on the establishment of the East African Kiswahili Commission, it places the commitment and obligation for Uganda as for each of the partner states to establish a National Kiswahili Council as a main channel for participation and promotion of activities of the Commission. The committee notes that the majority of various stakeholders were supported the establishment of the Uganda National Kiswahili Council. The Ministry of Local Government submitted that Kiswahili is a critical factor for integration. It's used by local government associations at their meetings under the umbrella organization of the East African Local Government Association, with its headquarters in Arusha, and so the Council is an important tool for strengthening the usage of Kiswahili. The Ministry of East African Affairs similarly supported the establishment of the Council on the basis that it is fulfillment of Uganda's obligation under the protocol as partner states of East African Community. On 5.3, I'm summarizing, I'm not going through everything, it is being highlighted. The mandate of promote Kiswahili. It was observed that Minister of Education was not in support to the bill due to the following potential conflict between the proposed council and the language boards. The composition of the council and limited stakeholders consultation by Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development at the initial stage. Thereafter, the ministry proposed that the bill be withdrawn for further analysis and engagement of all stakeholders on how best to promote Kiswahili. Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs proposed that Uganda National Kiswahili Council would be most suitably hosted under Ministry of Education and Sports, given its role in the language, education, and curriculum. The committee submits that language is not merely the means of communication, but it is also an integral part of culture and identity, and it is a tool for establishing social and cultural relations. The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development is mandated to promote and develop language as part and parcel of culture. It is therefore the mandate of Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development to promote Kiswahili language in recognition of its official status to be used in achieving common identity and culture for all Ugandans. Under 6, specific observation, interpretation. Clause 2 of the bill provides for interpretation of the committee. The committee observed that there is no minister referred to as minister responsible for Kiswahili. Kiswahili being a language recognized under domestic and regional laws, the provision should be amended by adding the word language. The committee recommends that clause 2.1 be amended, that the minister responsible for Kiswahili be substituted with minister responsible for Kiswahili language. Functions of the council.
Who is the minister of Swahili language? I thought it should be a minister of gender. The one hosting the language.
Honorable Speaker, that is what they had proposed, but we are trying to amend. That's why we are adding on the word Kiswahili language. We are adding the word language.
Yes.
Council, clause 4 of the bill seeks to create the functions of the council. The committee observes that paragraph B and D of the clause have many ideas covered under one proposal, and the paragraph is redundant. The committee observes also that there are other vital responsibilities to be performed by the council in ensuring compliance with standards for correct Kiswahili language and regulating the Kiswahili associations which had been omitted in the bill. The committee recommends that the provisions on the clause 4 be amended so that the functions of the council are clearly represented in a systematic manner. In addition, functions of the council should be provided for in the bill. Linkage of the councils with local government. Clause 5 provides for the linkage of the council with local government. However, the terms of local government and district councils are not defined. The provisions also requires the district council to implement the functions of Kiswahili council at the district level, and this attracts recruitment of more staff and additional funding. The committee noted that the term local government has to be defined as per the definition of Local Government Act for clarity. There is also need to amend the clause to ensure that it adequately supports local governments in promoting the usage of Kiswahili. The committee recommends that clause 5 be amended to provide for the definition of term local government and to ensure that the council adequately supports local government in promoting.
Chair, are we now looking at the clauses?
We are looking at specific observations, which look at the clauses.
Yes, specific observations that will lead to amendments of specific clauses, not so?
Most obliged. We can now go to the amendments if you agree, but I would like to conclude. In conclusion, the importance of Kiswahili cannot be overstated. Kiswahili is important for the East African integration, for effective communication in business transaction, employment, films, videos, advertising, entertainment, broadcasting, promoting tourism within East Africa, as a wider communication in East African community, and as working language of both SADC and African Union. Swahili is quickly becoming a language of international relations in Africa. The Uganda National Kiswahili Council Bill 2023 therefore seeks to ensure compliance of implementation of the East African Treaty and Protocol. The promotion of Kiswahili usage can contribute to both national, regional integration and sustainable development. The committee therefore recommends that the bill entitled Uganda National Kiswahili Council Bill 2023 be enacted with the proposed amendments. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Councillor Baka, you want to debate on this? You're debating on a report. Instead of looking at, going and looking at clause by clause. First of all, you must know that a report is informative. Informative. That report cannot help you in making those changes. Yes, Councillor Baka.
Right, Honorable, actually, incidentally, I came up to just raise a few issues pertaining to the report. So I don't know whether you are permitting some limited debate.
It's okay, go ahead.
Madam Speaker, I rise up to support the committee report in some aspects, but also have some issues. The first one, Madam Speaker, is that a language which is homogeneous is extremely necessary for integration, and it facilitates development and creates unity. And I think that's why our neighbors in Kenya and Tanzania are a bit ahead of us in terms of development, because they have a language which is facilitating trade, which is fostering unity. Those of you who are familiar with Kenya, you can imagine if Kenya didn't have a homogeneous language, it would be so bad. They have their own issues, but the language helps to keep them united. So to that extent, I think this bill should have come yesterday. We need it to harmonize Uganda, to have a language which can be spoken from the east to the west, from the south to the north, all of us which we can understand. So it is very good. Second and lastly, Madam Speaker, the idea that this council is going to be hosted in the Ministry of Gender is what I don't understand. Because this language, Kiswahili, for us is going to be like English. English is just a language to us. It's not a culture. It's not a culture because we don't have Baswahili in Uganda. We only have a language, Kiswahili. So it is more about having people to learn Kiswahili. It's going to be taught in schools. It's going to be taught in institutions of learning. So the right home for this one is the Ministry of Education. Otherwise it will be redundant in gender and it shall not achieve the objective. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Kasbat. Procedure.
Madam Speaker, thank you. I've asked the Office of Clerk to supply me with this bill for examination, and I've addressed myself to Rule 117, which requires that this bill, after gazetting, must be signed, must have a memorandum, explanatory memorandum signed by the minister or a member introducing it, and this bill and the accompanying memorandum is not signed by the minister. What that means is, Madam Speaker, what that means is we are not complying with the Rule 117, Sub-Rule 3. Now that this illegality has been brought to your attention, I don't know how you are
Which
going.
illegality?
The illegality is that a bill like this must be accompanied by an explanatory memorandum that must be signed by the minister. I have seen the... Just a moment, okay. I've seen the policy objectives are there, but they are not signed as provided in the law. So, in the absence of a signature by the minister, you need to guide this House on whether we can continue. this house, which is supposed to be a custodian of the laws, can now move in total violation of the rules of procedure.
Honorable Augustly, the memorandum is available. What was scanned is what did not have the signature, but what was supplied, give me my copy. It is resolved. That's a smaller matter. Don't drag us behind. Huh? You get it, eh? You see, when you look at the objects of the bill, the object of the National Swahili Council Bill 2023 is to provide for establishment of the Uganda National Kiswahili Council, to provide for the function of the council, to provide the linkage between the council and the local governments, linkage between the council and local governments, to provide for the composition, the tenure, meetings, and the committees of the council, to provide for secretariat of the council and the funds of the council. Yes?
Madam Speaker, I agree with what you have read. Indeed, these are the proposed policy objectives. What we do not know is the commitment of the mover, who in this case is
exactly, that's
is
what
better among who is moving on behalf of.
I am among.
Okay, among Betty, but you are not Betty. You are not Betty. You are Right Honorable Anita Among. So the copy I have here is the copy from clerk's office. So I don't know if there's another clerk somewhere who has a different copy and is acting on behalf of Parliament. Because these are matters we need to get clarity on. If not, I would pray we stand over this matter.
You know, Honorable Lee, you should get comfort that the Honorable Dr. Mutus, who is a minister in the same docket, is Senga, is the one moving it. So just have that comfort. And she can sign. If you want yours to sign, I have mine signed by Honorable Amongi. Actually, let me send you to my office to pick it. Because I left mine in the office, I had this one. So let's go ahead as the other one comes. Yes. Another one? You debate it.
They've given me. Asante sana
We are
Mheshimiwa
getting it.
Speaker.
You wait.
You know? Asante sana Mheshimiwa Speaker.
For now, our national language is English.
They've given it. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm here to support the motion. Swahili is a key language, provided we as leaders, government take initiative in promoting it. I remember we were learning Swahili when I was in Senior 1, but I don't know how the state is as it is now. So as government, if we are to take Swahili to be as a compulsory national language, let us put it under the Ministry of Education. Because I believe everything about education should lie under the Ministry of Education. Right Honorable Speaker, because of the integration, the East African integration, we so much appreciate Swahili because it will help promoting businesses, promoting our unity, and many other important things that we will need to share with the sister countries. So I here support strongly that we stand by the motion that we promote Swahili to be national language in Uganda.
Thank you. Yes, Mukatuliki.
I want to thank the minister. And secondly, with the honorable minister of mine, senior Manu member with his Ten Hag, I don't know why they are running away from their responsibility. It is common knowledge that a lot of teachers have been trained in Swahili, and they have raised a number of petitions to you, Madam Speaker, why they are not employed. And as we talk now, a country like Burundi has trained the Swahili very well, and they are communicating very well. Botswana, those of you know how to export labor, Botswana as a country is looking for Swahili teachers, because under SADC, they are struggling hard to see how they can, and South Africa, how they move business under that coastal language. I taught in the army for 10 years, and the media of communication, the barracks, they can bear witness, was only Swahili. And a warrant officer, sergeant at arms, getting you that day, talking in your Teso language, Dunyankore, Rusoga, other than Swahili, you'd be arrested, because you would be backbiting each other in your mother tongue. So there is no way Minister of Education can run away from this fact. There is a business for Swahili. Let us do it. And Madam Speaker, I remember one time I requested you that if you could give us, by the commission you planned for us as members of parliament, you give us morning lessons here at 7. Those who can afford to come and attend, we learn Swahili, and at the end of the day, we communicate. Because we have been going for East African Games, you see members, they always come to Honorable say, oh, what is he saying? What can I ask for? And
Honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, Swahili is an examinable subject. It is in the curriculum, in education, and how I wish gender and education would reconcile this at cabinet level. Education, what do you have to say?
Well, Madam Speaker, first of all, I want to begin by asking this Parliament to appreciate the level at which Kiswahili was considered to be under the Ministry of Gender. And to be honest, this language was considered under the Department of Culture, under the Minister responsible for culture. But I also want to confirm that it is true, as a ministry responsible for education, we, with your support, recruit, train, and deploy teachers to teach Kiswahili in schools. So, and also we examine. But for purposes of the bill before us here, it has come under the Ministry of Gender. And I want to ask the Minister of State for Gender, who is before us here, to officially justify. And if it is the considered opinion of Parliament, like the Speaker has guided, the Right Honourable Prime Minister will come in to guide. But as of now, I want to still implore you, Parliament, that the matter we are discussing is under the Ministry of Labour, Gender, Labour and Social Development. I thank you.
Honorable members, before even we get a clarification, I have Honorable Charity there. You're going to speak next. When you sponsor a law, it's just prudent enough for you to sign. I was only being cultured enough to defend you. You need to sign the law. You all need Charity, Honorable Charity.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I wish to thank the members for for the submission. Kiswahili is important for us as a people for national cohesion. As we speak our different languages, we go about business in our, little language things. But Kiswahili will help us to achieve national cohesion. I would like to also submit, Right Honorable Speaker, that we have the School of Languages at Makerere University, and Kiswahili is one of them. So I think it's not in order to detach Kiswahili from the School of Languages and separate it to another ministry. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, thank you. It is clear now. Isn't it clear? I now adjourn the House to tomorrow at 2.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
The first window for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualification trail, which had 2 games played, has ended. The Uganda Cranes drew 2 all away to South Africa in the first game before a 2-0 home victory over Congo-Brazzaville. During the games played, Uganda scored 4 and conceded just 2, which places the Cranes top of Group K with 4 points, albeit just on a better goal difference of +2. South Africa, which also won a game and drew the other for 4 points, scored 5 goals and conceded 4, which gives it a +1 goal difference and thus second position. Congo-Brazzaville is third with 3 points, having beaten South Sudan, which also lost to South Africa, and lies bottom of the group with no point. The next round of games will be on the 7th October, with Uganda at home against South Sudan, before the 2 meet again on the 15th of the same month. But as it stands, Uganda and South Africa, by virtue of occupying the top 2 positions, earn a place in the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, due in Morocco next year, because the top 2 nations in each of the 12 groups are guaranteed of that.
Uganda! Thank you for showing your fire! As Uganda Cranes showed Congo why nobody is called a